Welcome to the channel. It's another beautiful day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it, and I'm glad that you could join me. Welcome. Thanks for subscribing. I really appreciate it. So as you can see from the intro there, we got the handle / hitch all mounted up, and well, the trails need to get mowed. So let's test this thing out, see if it works. This is going to be fun. All right, handles on. Belts on. I think it's ready to test. I mean, I don't know what more we can do. So let's see if we can't, check the fluids and fire this thing up. I mean, it ran before we put it on here. So let's see if it'll run now and keep the belt on and see how it mows. This is going to be nerve-wracking for me, I think. I don't know why. I think it'll work. I think it'll work. All right, I pulled the dickens out of this thing, and I think I can't get it spinning fast enough because I'm moving the heads and everything. So I'm gonna just remove the belt off of the pulley and see if it'll start, and then we'll go from there. Because either A, it's been sitting, whatever, or B, there's too much drag on it and I can't just get this motor to spin over fast enough. I mean, it kind of popped, but it never actually fired. So let me take the belt off and see. Okay, belt's off the motor pulley. All right, yeah, it's definitely the drag. So I think we're gonna have to try and figure out something with the tensioner on there. Yeah, we'll take a look at this. Let's take a look and see what we can figure. All right, so back up in the shop, and we have a couple of options as I see it. So first option is we could make this, so you could tighten it by hand, so you could disengage the mower deck and engage it. So we could turn it off or take the tension off of the belt, but that belt really doesn't have that much tension on it. And then you'd be able to start it and then engage it. We could maybe put a different pulley on here, a smaller pulley so that way we can get this thing spinning quicker. I mean, that's an option that might work. I also noticed that when this thing was running, it was kind of wobbly. It was flexing a little bit. So we might want to put another support from like here to here, so that way our belt still can sit all underneath it. That might be something, but I'm more concerned about getting it running, I guess, and kind of operating, and then we can try and maybe support it up better. Or the last option, which is, in my opinion, the easiest option, is what if we take this off and, you know, make it electric start? Maybe that'll crank it long enough that it will fire and it'll work just fine. So I'm going to take this off, take this cover off, and take the pull start off and see if we can't make this electric start. All right, pull cord deleted. So here is my thoughts. Impact, spin it until it starts, and quick pull it off and see if a 3/4 drive impact is enough torque to crank this thing over. I mean, I'm just thinking the easiest way to get this thing to start. Let's give it a try. Contact. Fail. Was I the only one that thought that that would actually work? I mean, I thought for sure that that would work. So I guess plan B or plan C, whatever. Regardless, I mean, I guess it's a high compression motor. That must be it, with the straight pipe, cold air intake, high compression motor. Bad news is that didn't work. Good news is I pulled it over way better with a rope. So that means that I am stronger than a 3/4 inch drive impact. And I mean, that's saying a lot, right? So let's get this thing up to the barn and see what maybe our next step is. All right, we're back up in the barn. So one of the plans was we could change the size of the pulley so that way it had less, you know, rotational mass, right? So it spun faster for these. But I did the math, and this is what I need. I need a 6-inch pulley for these to not overspin, because yeah, I don't like messing with overspinning. But anyways, so I think we're gonna have to figure out how to build a tensioner that, you know, well, I guess for safety, you know, maybe that's the Lord's plan all along, is for safety we can shut the deck off without shutting the motor off, and so we can start the motor and then we'll have to engage it. So let me see what I can dig up for tensioner. I don't think I have any lawnmower tensioners or anything, but let's see what I can figure out. Yeah, I'll dig something up. Tensioner, here, little tensioner. There's a tensioner. Nope, better not steal that. There's a tensioner. Better not steal that one. Tensioner. Tensioner. It's just the pulley. Nope. There's a tensioner. Oh, it's the whole bracket assembly. Now, one day we might need to change a TBI Chevy 350 to have not air conditioning. Broken John Deere clutch. I mean, who would save that, right? Aha! Oh, down there. Of course, it's got to be in the very bottom. All right, let me get this dug out. All right, so here's what I came up with. You don't need to worry about all that aluminum dust and shavings falling out of this thing. Well, yeah, so here's a tensioner. I'm not really sure what it came off of. Well, it's made in Canada, so you know it's good. I mean, Ducky's seat cover came from Canada, and that was like the nicest thing we've ever bought yet. So, I don't know, I'm thinking we could probably do something like that. It's about the right height. Drill a hole, put a bolt through it, but it doesn't really tension anymore, and we kind of could use it like a pivot maybe, you know, like, I don't know, put a spring on it or something, but it's, yeah, I don't know, and it's making a huge mess. Or, while I was digging that thing out, I found a piece of 3/16 plate steel that has some random holes drilled in it. So, what if we did it like that? You know, bolted it through, bolted it down here or whatever. And I think if we could get this just to move over a couple of inches, I mean, it's not tight, right? But it would take all of the stress off of it, and we'd be able to just pull start it, right? And maybe, you know, if we had a pivot, so we just have to figure out a way to keep it over, and then like a spring to just hold it tight. And there's, you know, places we could go for it. So, and this is still completely adjustable, so we have plenty to play with there. So I'm leaning towards this plate. I think that might be the route to go. So let's see what I can figure out to do with this plate. Off you go until the next time we can't use you on a project. It has potential. It has potential. All right, here's my thoughts. I'm just spitballing it, but here's my thoughts. What if we mounted it something kind of like this? We waller out this hole so this can go through it, right? And then we use this as our pivot point, and then hook a spring like across there, right? So that means we'll want to, you know, at least to start out with, probably cut like that chunk off, just so it's not hitting here. And then what I can do when I go to start it, I can just push my foot against here, which I kind of need to put my foot against it anyways to keep the whole thing from rolling back on me. So if I push my foot on it here, it would pivot that over. And if we make it go all the way over to this bracket, or we could always remove the bracket, but if we just make it hit all the way over to that bracket, that should move it, you know, 2, 3, 4 inches over, and that should be enough to put, like, you know, no tension on that belt. And then once you get it running, you just remove your foot off of it nice and slowly, and the spring pulls it back. I'm just spitballing, but that's what I'm going to start with. So let me get this chunk cut out, and then my awesome strong bracket we built, yeah, it'll go to another project because that can't be there. So I guess this isn't going to be as strong, but at least it'll work, right? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. So yeah, let me get this disassembled, and then we'll cut that out and kind of see where we need to go from there. All right, pulley and bracket is off. Man, the guy who assembled that put green Loctite on it. So that was that was real fun. I'd like to meet that guy, right? So where I'm at now with this is we can use this as the hole, right, where we want the pulley to sit. So we've got that mark. And I'm thinking, you know, that hole like that, and then on this high point on the deck, we could probably drill a hole like here, put a bolt through that so this thing can pivot kind of like so. And we'll probably have to, you know, grind that. Well, we will. So it can pivot like that, and that's moving it like 3 inches or so. We'll have to lob the bracket, and then we could just run a spring like that. So I think where I need to cut it, I don't need to take that off anymore, but if I did something like this, and then maybe that, I think that might be a lot better because I can still push my foot there, or maybe we'll have to weld on something. But by moving that, you know, 2-3 inches over, this belt should have plenty of slack. So yeah, let me get that cut out and let's just see how it kind of looks. All right, here's what I came up with. So I lobbed this off here, lobbed this off, and lobbed that whole section off of it. I know it's kind of hard to tell because this is a black piece on a black. But anyways, so I'm thinking it would pivot like that. And even if we, you know, left this part of the bracket on there, so you had something to push it up against, down here, we'll have to probably weld like a pedal or something on it here just to keep our foot away from the belt. But if we pivot it like that, so a spring from like here to there, pivot it out, that's going to bring it about here. And if we take our pulley and yeah, we go like there, so the pulley be sitting there, then this belt, I mean, I can spin it just by hand without, you know, so it should start. We'll probably have to make some kind of brackets that make it so the belt can't really fall off when we're doing that. But I think that'll work. So yeah, we'll just have to drill a hole here to make the pivot point. We'll just drill a hole there for it to pivot. Plus, if this bracket's wider like that and it's sitting on this top edge here, it can't really rock so much. Yeah, we'll drill like a hole there, and then we will have to weld a plate probably here, but we don't want to come past this, right? So we'll weld a plate here for our foot to push against while we're pull starting it. I mean, that's just, I'm just kind of spitballing it, but I'm thinking that'll work. Yeah, and we'll just lob that off so it can go over like that, and it should. I mean, that's way loose now. So you would think that, you know, it would work. It would at least let us pull it over and put no stress on the motor. So the good news is I think that'll work. The bad news is I looked everywhere and I don't have a spring that is that size. I mean, I have like throttle springs and stuff like that, but nothing that would actually hold this over. So I need to try to, I guess I'm gonna have to go buy a spring. I think that'll be good. Yeah, so good news, that worked. I think this will work. Bad news, I don't have a spring. The other bad news is that is all I have time for this video. I need to get this edited and out to my awesome subscribers. So, you know, till next time, don't forget, be blessed. Peace. Looks like you get to go back on. We're going to use you after all. What? 1 knot, 2 knot. Missing a nut already? I just took that thing off. How does that happen? Be blessed. Peace.